All right, so I'm going to start. First of all, as always, you win a game, you feel better than when you lose a game. And I think after Saturday, the way we won it, how we played, it wasn't just winning the game. I thought we played like we'd hoped to play. Two of the best players played really well. Aaron was, I thought, unbelievable, and I thought Josh was really every bit as good, just in different ways. His rebounding, his defense, his leadership. Times he played the point. Aaron was phenomenal with his defense also, but his aggressiveness, I enjoyed the way he played. Um, Sorry, some of you guys aren't muted, but he did carry us Saturday as far as that goes, but that's what third and fourth year guys are supposed to do. So I look at it that we're going to need that and more in the next 2 weeks. As everybody knows, we're going to have 6 games in 13 days. It is more than an NBA schedule. The way I look at it right now, at least from the latest, which I don't know, since half the teams haven't played half the games. But if you look at it from what I've seen, all 6 teams are in, and of course, 4 are ranked in the top 5 in the country, or 6 in the country. Illinois is clearly one of the best of those teams in our league and in the country. They lost a couple games early, I think, to Baylor, who's really good. They're coming off an impressive win at Minnesota, where they won by 30. They've been on a roll. They've won 7 games in a row. I think them and Michigan have a incredible streak going. Aho and Kofi are 2 of the best players in the league. You're starting to see Aho is getting trying to catch the superstar from Iowa. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but at least he's among the leaders in scoring, and Kofi leads the Big Ten in rebounding. They also have very good shooters in Frazier and Miller, so they can beat you a lot of different ways. I think one of the ways is they turn you over a lot, and I think against some of those kind of teams, we've been better lately. But we're going to need a big performance out of our best players. I think if this team's going to really take a step forward, we still need to get more out of Joey. We still need to get more out of Malik, and we're working on that. Foster, again, will not play in this game. Not a lot better as of yesterday, but, keep hoping for later on in the week to get him back. And other than that, we're excited. You got an opportunity. I mean, it's strange because we play so many teams that are ranked. I mean, I've gone a whole season playing 2 ranked teams in the Big Ten. Now we're going to play 4 in a week and a half. But I think the other strange thing is we're playing some teams for the first time. Illinois for the first time this late, Maryland for the first time this late, Michigan for the first time this late. And so it's going to be a hellacious couple of days with, prep today, game tomorrow, prep on Wednesday, game Thursday, prep Friday, travel Saturday, play Sunday, and then the same routine. But it's also an incredible opportunity. And so we're going to look at it as the second one, that it's an incredible opportunity, and see what we can do with it.
We'll go first to Chris Solari.
Tom, with that, how do you keep these guys focused maybe on the small picture versus the big picture with that? And do you treat this at this point like one and done time in some ways?
No, that wouldn't happen here. It'd be like, I should stand up here like, what's the name did? Playoffs, like, are you crazy? There is no way that anybody will understand. There will not be any pressure put on these guys. They've had enough pressure put on them all year. It's going to be the Illinois game. I have in my mind, I talked to them 2 weeks ago about what I think has to happen to have a chance to get in. But as I say that, who knows what's going to happen? Who's going to get COVID? Who's going to play games? I see some teams they're putting in because they win a game. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. So I'm sure as hell not worried about that right now. And I think that would be unfair. because we have no clue. It's not 18 games or 19 games like it was some year. It's not, 20 games like it was back 8 years ago. If you got to then, you'd be in. All I know is we got a lot of work to do. We won a game. We have great opportunities. And to be honest with you, Chris, that's what I'm focusing everything on, because these guys have been through so much this year that, we talked about situations. We talked about don't worry about streaks and this and that. It's not that kind of a season that you can do that. And so what I'm talking about is Illinois opportunity to win a game. If we win a game, we'll constantly reassess where we are.
We'll go next to Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Tom, kind of dealing with the broader question that we've been having over time about coaching this generation of athletes. How do you come off a win in Indiana that you want to celebrate, but also keeping expectations that, hey, this is what we're supposed to do? How do you kind of emphasize that to your team right now, but just in general with this next generation of athletes?
Yeah, it's, as you know, there's so much of what did you do for me today in this generation? And it's a very good question that I don't really have a great answer for during this COVID time, because I think, we haven't learned how to deal with it yet. But what I'm dealing with is we won a game. You're at Michigan State. You're supposed to win games. Let's learn from why we won the game. Were we more connected? Did we move the ball better? Did we play a little better defense? Did Indiana play worse? Let's look at why we won the game. And when we did that, we found a lot of positive things we did, but making shots was one of them. Gabe hits 4, Aaron makes shots. So when you make shots, a lot of good things happen. But I did not come back. We did not celebrate because there's nothing to celebrate. But we just talked to them. Like I said, they've been through a lot. I understand that. And my approach has been completely different than a lot of years. And I still say that when you go through it during the season like we did and never know how certain guys are coming back, I mentioned it that I watched North Carolina and Louisville to my staff, and Louisville, I think, was the best defensive team in that league. And they gave up 99 points, after a week of coming off COVID. And that's the parts, Lindsey, that I don't know if anybody knows because it's different for each kid. So I'm just still trying to focus on let's get better as a team. Yeah, we're changing the lineup. Yeah, we're still looking to get better. You know what? That's the way it is. It's just the way it is. I can't apologize for it, nor can I condemn it for it. It's the reality of what we're going through. And what I said to you last week and a week before was so true. We practice good. We practice like a team that has given up on themselves. That's encouraging. I could use that statement when I got back to the locker room. You played like you practiced. None more so than Rocket Watts. He had 2 of the best practices he's had since he's been here. And really good. The 2 days before, it was, it prompted everybody to say, wow. And so that's encouraging, and we're just going to try to build on it.
We'll go next to Justin Rose.
I'm trying not to be repetitive here with this, but 56 points in the second half, and when you guys lost that game to Purdue, they seemed to go on a run after kind of that victory. Do you see this team maybe looking at that second half in particular, knowing that what they're capable of doing offensively, and hope that maybe this springboards you guys into the next 2 weeks, which obviously are pretty important?
Yeah, you hope so. Making shots, though, effort-related things is different than making shots. There's not a player I coached in my 26 years that ever wanted to miss a shot. There's guys that make a choice on whether they go a little harder or not. There's guys that make a choice whether they defend a little better, rebound a little better. Those things are choices. Making shots is not a choice. Now, in making shots, I think it lifts all the other things, and that's what's encouraging. But I still think, we got some guys. I think Rocket, has been shooting better in practice. I think Joey Hauser still, along with Malik Hall, those 2 guys, I think can score more and make more shots. So the encouraging part is at least the ball movement led to better shots. It got Gabe some great shots. And, Gabe was out for those, almost a month. I mean, the 17 days, and then he came back and he struggled for a while. So getting him back, if you had him at Iowa down there, could you have won a game? I mean, all those things you just think and dream about. So I'm not worried about anything else than, just continue to figure out why we made more shots. And I think some of that was practice, but I think some of that was the ball movement and the fact that, guys are kind of figuring out some things. Aaron is starting to really get in the paint, get 2-foot stops. Josh made some great passes. It was the passing that, and some guys didn't get assists, like Rocket made. We call them hockey assists here. They do that in hockey where you get an assist for the assist. Basketball, it's got to be the direct one. Rocket made some great assists to the assist that led to the basket. And that's sharing the ball, and that's kind of figuring out, understanding the game a little better. And I thought we got some of that.
For many years, you guys have been the hunted. Now you are apparently taking on the hunter role for the last 2 weeks. Will you use that? Will you use that tactical advantage?
I don't know. I forgot what it's like to be the hunter role. We've been pretty fortunate here over the years. We've been hunted more than we've been hunting. But, I've been an underdog all my life. Let me tell you, those last couple of weeks, the way everything went, I felt like an underdog, way underdog, And I don't know if I'm going to use any tactics other than, guys, we're capable of playing better than we have. We've had some things that have muddied things up. I said I had to do a better job on some things. Don't worry about any of those things. Let's try to max out on how we play in the effort related things and on the intelligent related things. And then that ball's going to go in the basket. And if it does, you're going to feel better about yourselves. Your defense will get better. And that's where you go. And 56 points in the second half against a pretty good defensive team that had won 4 out of 6. Something to build on is not something to have a party over.
We'll go next to Audrey Dahlgren.
Hey, Tom, you mentioned the 2 ways that you could approach this week as an incredible opportunity versus the daunting task that lies ahead. And so as you do, how do you preface that, though, I guess, throughout the week to the players to look at it as, hey, this is an exciting time, or this should be an exciting approach to facing these teams that you're about to play?
I think the beauty of it is, we've played hellacious schedules over 20 years, and guys came here knowing you're going to play good teams. Believe it or not, there's been more than a couple years that we played more rated teams in the non-conference than we did in the conference in some of those years. But they always know, George Perlis used to say they all count one, and they do, and that's coach speak. But you're playing a top 5 team or top 4 or 3 team. Human element comes in, and everybody knows it's more important. You as fans and media, players do. So I don't try to downplay that. I just try to say we're taking it one game at a time, and that is coach speak, but that is what everybody should do. You can't look ahead right now. Hell, I don't even know if we'll finish the season. Somebody else might get the COVID situation and cancel a couple more games. I mean, it's happening all over the country right now. So I said, as of today, we're playing Illinois tomorrow. Let's just worry about that game. And if we play better in that game, win or lose, we still have a chance to attain some things. If we can win a game like that, those are the shot in the arm games that really, really, really make a difference.
And then as a quick follow-up, obviously you need Aaron in different areas, but what do you like about him sometimes when he is able to run the point? I mean, what does that bring to your offense? I know you have other guys that obviously need to play there and he has his own role, but what does he provide in that sense?
Well, I didn't play him at the point very much. What I did is I put him in point guard situations and ball screens and that. When you play a player at the point, it is draining to play the point guard position. That's why 90% of the team's point guards aren't your leading scorers. Take Ayo, for example. He was playing the point his first 2 years. Now he's kind of off guard, and it just gives him more freedom to do more things. He still has the ability and still does get into a lot of ball screens and things like that. I thought Aaron just played within himself. One thing we've been really working on is come to a 2-foot jump stop, quit turning the ball over, taking bad shots. He did that numerous times. And I said, well, it's taken 2 3/4 years, Aaron, but the light bulb went on in that area, and players have to learn. There's a process to everybody. Everybody forgets. I kept thinking Ao and Kofi were sophomores, but they're juniors too, and there's a process to getting there. And those guys have done a great job. Garza's a senior, we're just so embedded on everybody should be this way so early. And especially when you go through a year like this, that, I think it's still holding serve that the most experienced teams are the ones winning and that have the most juniors and seniors. And so I think putting Aaron in that role where he's making better decision too, Audrey. He's making, he threw a couple of great passes to the corner, got Josh an open shot, got Gabe an open shot, drove it, kicked it out. He's just playing more within himself. And I think that's the comfort level he's starting to feel.
Thank
We'll
you.
go next to Kyle Austin. Kyle?
Earth to Kyle. Come in, Kyle.
Looks like Kyle froze, so we'll jump ahead to Brendan Quinn.
I guess within the last week or so, you had Garza, you had Travion Williams, you had Trace, you had Day, and now coming up, you get Kofi. And I wonder how you're feeling about not only your interior defense, but also the rest of your defense ability to, if you want to double and recover all these things that you're going to have to do, not only this game, but even what else you have coming up.
Well, just so that all you can understand how difficult it is sometimes, Garza at Iowa, I don't know, I think had 30, 40 points. He might have set a North American record there. And we had a shot to tie it with 20 seconds left. And Garza at our place had 8 points, and we were out of the game 20 seconds into it. So, sometimes you pick your poisons on what you want to do if you're not real sound everywhere. We do think we have a couple of things we're going to try. We got to do a better job. But even like Indiana, at the end of the day, a 2 is worth 2 points, even in Philadelphia and the UP, and a 3 is worth 3 points. And, sometimes you give up a 2 for a 3, and sometimes you don't. It just depends what that team does. But there are different reasons we do different things. And, one thing I've been very disappointed with our posts is we're letting people get the ball way too deep. And some of it is strength, some of it is experience, some of it is, I don't think you've ever had a year that you've been covering, that I've been covering. I don't know who's the oldest on this thing. Fred Human or whoever, that's insulting, so take it. But I don't think we've ever had this many good big guys in this league ever. And so it is a new phenomenon that we're all dealing with a little bit. And, when we say that about Garza or we say that about Travion, they're getting the same amount of points against everybody else too. And so we've got to do a better job. There's no question. We got to pick our poison. I'm not going to give that up on what it's going to be. I'm just going to tell you, we're going to try to do a better job than we've done in a couple of those games. But as everybody said, we did such a good job against Garza here. And, did that matter? I mean, we got to do a good job all the way around. And one other area we got to do a good job on is scoring on the other end, not turning it over.
Gotcha.
Go next to Kyle Austin, who's back with us.
I am back. Thanks, Max. Tom, obviously the kind of different sort of lineup seemed to unlock things offensively for you a little bit with Aaron at the 4, a little bit more. How much of that was just, Illinois or Indiana's personnel allowing you to do that? And how much do you think you can get into that lineup the rest of the season?
Again, you have some success at one thing. It doesn't mean It could be the team you're playing. It could be the lineup. It's something we've talked about exploring. We couldn't explore it with Gabe and COVID. So, that would took care of that month. And, we'll look at that some, my ultimate goal is still to get, Joey and Malik on track. If that happens, we're going to be a better basketball team, because once you do that and go small, now you just limit, your number of substitutions, number one, and number two, in case you get in foul trouble. But we got to figure out how to play the best we can play. So whatever lineup that is, sometimes it'll be dictated by your opposition, but sometimes you can dictate to them what you want to do too. So it's definitely in our package. I'll say that.
Time for a couple more questions. We'll go first to Chris Solari.
Kind of what, along with what Kyle said, with how much that Illinois pushes up on you defensively, that 3-guard situation where you have Josh and Aaron and Rocket all in there together to bring up the ball, is that something that can maybe minimize some of those turnovers, or at least get you some alleviate some of that pressure?
They put a lot of pressure on, but so does Indiana, so does Purdue. I mean, I'm not, I say this, I'm not as worried about the pressure, but they do go with a 4-guard lineup a lot. But they got a horse inside, man, that, he might outweigh 2 of our guys. He is big and strong and playing a lot better than he did last year, if you ask me. But, yeah, anytime you can get more ball handlers on the court, it definitely helps you. And that definitely could be in the package. Rocket might have played one of his better games last week as far as all around, but last year against them down there, he might have played his best game of his career here. So we'll see what that brings. But I have been pleased with his progress too, and played a lot of it at the point. But I did put Aaron there a couple of plays. I put Josh there a little bit, take some pressure off everybody, and get Rocket in a place where he could come off some ball screens, and he did a very good job of that. So we'll move it around a little bit. It's a shame we're doing it this time of year, but as I said, I can't apologize for something that I couldn't control in the middle of January, and that left some, that and no Christmas left us to a point where we couldn't do the things we normally do at those periods of time.
We'll go next to Fred Human and wrap it up with Jack Ebling. Fred, unmute yourself.
He's
I'm
sleeping.
unmuted, aren't I? Aren't I unmuted?
There you are. There you are.
I want to correct your facts because I think Jack has me by a few years, just so you know. And so
I didn't know
clear.
Jack was on.
Yeah, well, he's on. My question to you, you got fired up when one of the astute reporters here after the game Saturday talked about your team's body language, particularly Aaron Henry and really the whole team. But you don't coach that, right? I mean, not everyone is Draymond Green. Can you teach a team swagger, or do you just expect it?
That is $1 million question, because I do have a few guys that I talked to them. I've talked to their parents. I heard a great thing. I was watching a Barry Gordy documentary, and a woman in there talked about one of the most important things, and this is back in the 60s, was body language. And, you get a lot of parents, you get a lot of players, you get a lot of people that want to change everything in their life to be better, whether it be your skill level, your intelligence, your weight, your, height you can't really change, but a lot of things people want to change. But if you tell them that their personality has to change, they look at you like you're on dial-a-clue. And yet, I've gone to doctors, though they're supposedly the most intelligent people on the planet. And you can talk to one doctor who's just very outgoing and vibrant, and you can talk to another doctor who seems all doom and gloom. Hell, I don't care what disease I got. I X that guy off my list. I don't want to go see him. And I really believe that. I think that body language and things like that are very important in the success of a team and of an individual player. And probably nowadays, when everybody spends all their time like this and doesn't communicate with anybody, body language is more important and less available. People, nobody ever tells anybody about their body language because they don't see anybody. They just text and tweet and email and all the other crap that goes on out there. And I think it is hurting kids. I really do. I think when you have an effervescent leader, and like Josh is getting to be that way more and more and more. It wasn't his personality. And I think if he wouldn't have been injured, he would have probably started doing that earlier. But if there's one thing that I would search for in recruiting, it would be that. And I don't care if you're the center or you're the walk-on. I mean, I'm on my kid every day. I tell him every day, his body language is okay, but his personality has got to change. So I do the same to my own kid. And I would do that to every person I came involved with. I think if I got 10 of you guys that interview me and one does it with a little passion, man, I'm giving that person a lot more than I'm giving the drab human being that just sitting there doing nothing. And it's amazing to me. And I've done this over the years too. I've actually videotaped with one of those small cameras. I videotape a player or the bench, or just to try to show him, because the hardest thing in the world to do in the Tom Izzo thought process is self-evaluate. People don't see that in themselves, that they don't have that. And so I've done that. It worked a little bit. Now I don't know. You might get sued for it now, so I don't want to do that. I'll just try to talk to them about it. But I do spend a lot of time talking to guys about it. And I mean, my favorite is my Aaron Henry. Since everybody always rips me about it, but the finger wag was because he walked out the court like this, didn't look anybody in the eye. That's what it's all about. And that'll probably never change in my lifetime, because I believe in it so strongly that if you would have asked my team who talked in the huddles and who was different, I would have said it would have been Aaron and Josh and, guys, and people got to learn how to do that. But there's a process to that too, because they ain't learning it back in school now, because teachers ain't teaching like I was taught. So it's different, and they've got it. That's part of the process.
We'll wrap it up
Good
with one from
question
Jack
for a long
Adler.
answer, Fred. Sorry about that, but you hit a sharp note, so that'll leave me with the old man on the staff, which is Jack. So go ahead, Jack.
Tom, I'm definitely older. Fred just looks older, but there's an advantage for age when you're waiting for the vaccine, so it's all good. Your teams historically have had a reputation for toughness and enjoying a physical brand of basketball. How important is it, especially a game like tomorrow, with the officiating and what they choose to do as far as allowing a guy like Kofi to camp in the lane or bull his way to the basket? And if you get maybe a cheap foul on the perimeter with Aaron, how much does that change the game?
Jack, I've known you for 36 years, and you're trying to get me a $10,000 fine. What the hell are you doing to me? First of all, the one thing that is most disappointing to me is we're not that physical team we used to be. And part of that is, a lot of it is my fault, either in recruiting, off-season strength and conditioning, what we couldn't do, but it really does fall on my lap. But I haven't been pleased with the fact that I think there's been a lot of camping out in the lane, and you must have saw it on TV because it's not something you and I talked about. But when you're that big of bodies, it'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of things interesting. I mean, I know all those officials on a first name basis, of course, because as you've watched the games this year, because of the COVID and the way that we had to do it in the Big Ten, I mean, I think we've had the same guys 20 out of 25 games. And that's not all bad, but except for the guy that didn't call a charge on the charge I took on the bench. I like most of those guys, and they'll call it like they see it. We're just gonna have to figure out ways to do it, because there's still no excuse for getting posted up inside the paint. And we got to do a better job, both from a coaching standpoint and coming up with different ways of coverages, or from a player standpoint, or maybe more importantly, both. So we'll try to do it, but you're not going to see a bigger human being since maybe I scouted Georgia Tech and LSU and saw Shaq my first time back in '90 with Steve Smith. But Kofi is he's a man child, and he's improved a lot from last year. He's the biggest, strongest, player that's been in this league in a long time. But there's other teams that have had big players. That doesn't mean they're great. But I think this team that we're playing with AO and him, they've got an inside and an outside. They've got some shooters around them. Brad is a very, very good coach. You talk about a guy that coaches toughness and that. He gets after it, and I appreciate that, and have grown to kind of respect that a lot. So we know we have our hands full in our minds. Who's the best? There's 3 or 4 teams in our league that all bring something a little different. They're all really good. They're all really worthy of potential 1 seeds. Illinois doesn't have to take a back seat to anybody. And we have an opportunity ahead of us. It's an opportunity of a lifetime, really, because they all count 1, but some of these games, I think in the eyes of people that matter, they're bigger games than just 1. And that's the way we're trying to approach it.